I was a missing child from the age of 13 for over 3.5 years. When social services made me go back to my mother, at that time she was in Montreal for a family event, I didn't know I had the option to say no. I didn't know I had any options or voice whatsoever. I was a very traumatized young girl now with a little baby. When I got back to Montreal, my mother didn't know if I was dead or alive that whole 3.5 years. Let's just be clear about that. When I got back to Montreal, she embraces me. I love you. I missed you. Don't ever do this to the family again. That was the tone. And I was shell-shocked. So shell-shocked that, in fact, when I was given the choice initially to stay in Montreal at my aunt's house where I would have been safe and cared for and gotten the psychological support that I needed, or go back to Miami, I very quietly voiced wanting to stay in Montreal to my aunts. And then when push came to shove, I caved because I was still that terrified little girl of my mother. We go back to Miami. There's no audience. Now my mother could give a crap whether I'm dead or alive. In fact, I have created something for her that she didn't want. I have created now that she would no longer be the mother of a missing child, which she really enjoyed. Now she would have to step up and actually care for me, or make it look like I didn't want to be cared for. So for a week, she didn't come out of her room other than to tell me that if I didn't sign this document of back payments of child support for my father and sue him, I would have no money to live off of. And in the same breath, my stepfather came to me and said I would no longer be living in the house, that it wasn't working out. Other than this interaction I had with my mother, and I did sign the document, I had no interaction with her. No negative, no positive, no nothing, because she was hiding out. The 3.5 years I was gone, she had zero expense for me. She wasn't maintaining a house for me. In fact, my room was dismantled less than a year after I ran away and turned into a guest room. My belongings were given away. There was no storage. There was one little suitcase in the garage. That was it. The house that we were living in at that time belonged to my stepfather for 25 years before he ever knew my mother, and there was no mortgage on it. So this thing of it's child support and she gets to keep it, no, child support is to support the child. And I was 17 years old, and she promised me that money and told me that I had to sign it or I was basically going to starve. And I believed her. And then she kept the money.